Welcome back, brothers. We are back into the IdleOn efficiency review submissions. So two things real quick. So I'm going to switch it to 2 a week, and I'm also going to only review one person at a time. That way I can do more personal things, right? So I've asked people to go back in there and to write exactly what they're looking for. So for Healman, that's going to be money. And Griffin, I'm tracking, I'm skipping you. Just giving you a little bit more time to be able to put in here exactly what you're looking for, and then I'm going to come right back to you. So if you happen to see this, Griffin, make sure that you come in here and you put in there exactly what you're looking for. So as I go through the IdleOn efficiency submissions, so like Wicked Lobster, Dat Kadeen, do what Go SOO is doing. Give me what you're looking for. That way I can specifically target what it is that you need, and then I feel like I'm going to help a lot more. And it's going to be 2 a week, just so there's a lot more content that I want to cover, and I want to help the community at the same time. So I got to find that good, middle ground. So I'm going to go to 2 a week, one at a time. But I've already spent 1 minute rambling, so let's get into it.
You got to just press record.
All right, we are back here with Healman. He is asking us to look specifically at ways to increase his money, and I can tell you right off the bat, right? So when you're in World 4, one of the best early sources of money is the World 4 Coliseum. Now, if you can push all the way in to the end, you can kill all the bosses, you toss on a couple of, possible money increasing cards, which I'll link around the video here, then the World 4 Coliseum is going to be your best bet for early game money. That's how you're going to push to getting a couple more of those cooking places, a couple kitchens opened up. So right off the bat, seeing 6 of those would definitely say make sure that you're getting as many tickets as you can. You should be getting 3 a day at least. That way you can run that Coliseum once every 2 days. So just right off the bat, right here, big source of money. Just make sure you're actually, using it to your benefit. Seeing a 2 to start off with is phenomenal. So your stamps, not a problem. Cattle Prod, if you're in the Palmer Plays Discord, you should not have a problem with the Cattle Prod quest. I go out of my way to help anybody who has a P in their name, so no reason for you to not have this one, brother. I can understand this one. This one sucks, but this one, nah, you should get that like today. Looking at everything else, just a couple of 5s. Fishing XP gain and multi-fish chance, definitely 2 good ones to get up, and your shiny catch rate. So the ones that are at 5s, would love to see them 10, 15, 20. Other than that, you've got some really good stamp levels coming. And you have one that I don't have, so congratulations. But nothing to say about your stamps. I think you're doing phenomenal as far as the stamps. Looking at the forge, we got copper, we got some luster, we got some dementia, we got some plat, luster, silver. Okay, that's starting to become something where people are starting to diversify their ores before I come in. But that's great. You're hitting every single wicket. You're making multiples of some ores, and you're making sure that you've got a healthy stockpile of all these different ores and bars. And you're doing a phenomenal. And I can see where you want the money. You're probably just trying to get these last couple levels across the board. And I'll go back to that first thing I had said. World 4 Coliseum. You only need 1 void, 55 dementia, 65 plat. A good run. I'm getting, I don't know, maybe about 20, 40 void or luster. I can't remember which one it is. I haven't done Coliseum in a long time, but this is a very reasonable amount of money to get running World 4 Coliseum. So I would absolutely recommend getting your butt over there, brother. Jumping into the Anvil, and again, I love seeing stuff like this, right? Especially if you're a new player, seeing the slower characters, specializing in the thread, and then as I come down, you got the faster characters. You got your hunters, your beastmasters, your siege breakers. This is exactly how it should be, and none of them are hitting their caps. And I can even see you're starting to raise your caps, like 116,000 for the maestro, phenomenal, right? 255,000 for your archer based classes, phenomenal. Absolutely nothing to say about this. I think you're doing a great job, brother. Just you got to keep up at it. Jumping into alchemy, and I'll make sure I click on the class multiplier bonus. Right off the bat, love to see it. Base 70, I'll consider that's 70, right? Because you got a couple spares over here. So base 70 in all of your main stats, your strength, your wisdom, your agility, and then your luck as well. Phenomenal. Going to come down to Britley Spears, so we're 60, 48, 55. So your damage bubbles, not bad, honestly. This is pushing into, you know, late game, this is where I'm at, right? So nothing to say there. I think you're doing a great job. 45 and 35, nothing to say there either, brother. I think you are doing a phenomenal job. Yeah, I think you're doing a great job, Healman. Like, just a couple more levels in Chakracy. I mean, you probably have no problems getting to the end of World 4 right now, and you're on the cusp right now of completing. And again, I'm doing air quotes when I say completing alchemy, but unlocking all the bubbles that you've got. All right, our Diamond Chef, you know, just because the rest of your alchemy is so good, I'm going to point out the Diamond Chef. A little bit low, but I'm not going to, you know, spend too much time on it. That's honest to God just a time thing, right? It's just going to take you a little bit of time. But would love to see that around 20. Other than that, brother, phenomenal account, honestly. You're hitting all the wickets. You're starting to level up. I can see all your, you know, your skilling stuff. Grind time, a little bit low. That's probably the only thing I'll point out as far as your alchemy is your grind time is a little bit low, especially for where all the rest of your bubbles are. But if that's the only problem you got going on, that's a pretty small problem. I'm jumping into Vials. Let's see what we got going on here. All right, we are back. So I did jump into your storage, brother, and we're missing, you know, we're missing Choco Milkshake. We're missing, you know, Electrolyte, more pet damage, right? So you can push a little bit further into the arena. We're also missing Choco Milkshake. We're missing Spook Pint, new recipe cooking speed. So a lot of stuff that's really going to push our kitchen progression. So, and you definitely had the donuts, you definitely had the cappuccino. So not gonna spend too much time on it because I assume you're just getting absolutely destroyed by RNG. But you definitely have a lot of these vials unlocked. Well, quote unquote unlocked. You have the material to unlock it. It's just, you know, getting out there making it happen. And then I'm actually going to come back here to alchemy because I did miss something, right, when we were talking about getting money. So right here, and I can see you leveling it up just a little bit, right? So if you're honestly interested, make sure you're on the right character. So for example, Orange Cauldron, we're on our Warrior because as we all know, if you're on the right class for the Cauldron, you will get a reduction. So make sure on your Warrior, you're on an Archer, or you're on a Mage. And then let's get these bad boys up to, you know, the 30s, right, at the very least. And then we want to start worrying about that multi-stat things, right? So that all ties back into getting Roid Raging up, Swift Stepping, and Stable Genius. So a good goal for you, aim for 1,000, which is the goal I'm on right now. Aim for 1,000 all stats. Obviously your primary stats probably going to be 2K, 3K, something like that. And then get these bad boys, Penny of Strength, $1 of Agility, and Nickel of Wisdom, up to about 30. And then in the same vein, the sigils that I would aim for are these top 3. I see you kind of like, you know, you're dipping your feet into the whole sigil thing. Would go for the Big Muzzle, Pump Kicks, and Odd Literature, just because that ties into once you hit a certain break point with your strength, your agility, and your wisdom. Because of those alchemy bubbles, we're going to start making just a little bit more money. Jump into World 3. And we're looking at our construction. Nothing to say here. I think it just always says this. I don't think I've ever seen someone with theirs on cooldown. Coming down, even though you're not putting the resources, see that you have more than enough of it in the bank. So nothing to say here about your construction. Do make sure that you look on either the IdleOn main Discord, or I think I've leaked in the Palmer Plays Discord. There's a infinite refinery cheat sheet, or you can ask Ganon. Ganon will just probably know off the top of his head. You know, it's like 11, I think it's 11.63.631 off the top of my head is the one I'm using right now. And what that is, it's just going to consistently have enough salt being produced to allow you to infinitely run the recycle or the refinery without ever running out of salt. So I would look into that, brother. Just a recommendation, but as it is now, it looks completely fine. All right, going to come into the Salt Lick. Just 2 things I want to point out for you. Let's get this up to, let's say, you know, level 10, right? We want to be able to max out the max talent levels for books as much as possible. And then this one right here is actually going to help you quite a bit because there is a star talent that increases cash dropped per your multi-kill tier. So we would love, right, which is based off of damage, granted, but it's a good goal to go for anyway, just because we're going to start to want to get those samples, and we're going to want this multi-kill rate specifically for when we start going green mushroom hunting, which when I look at your death note here in about 2 more seconds, we're going to want this as high as possible because we're going to start going green mushroom farming. let's look at our 3D printer. And as I'm looking at it, might have caught you in the middle of a resample, right? Because we have, what do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we're at the end. We've got our 10 characters. And now is a good time to sit down, possibly take a little bit of time, do your resampling. And as I'm looking at it, right, Bowman Bow 12 should be one of our archer classes because they're the ones going after, you know, flies and stuff. And then I assume War Masteru is, okay, so a wizard, and then we have Bowman Bow 12 is our Beastmaster. Want to be cognizant of who we're using to get what resource, right? This would be our Barbarian. Where's our mining sample? This would be our Squire. This would be our other one. So you're not saying you're doing anything wrong. I just think it's a really good time for a resample. With how far along your account is, 100% can assume that you get higher than 9.31k regular logs, and you're definitely hitting higher than, where's your copper ore? We're not printing any. There it is. So 35.3k, 100% that you can get higher than that. Your account is at the level, if not just a little bit below mine, and I'm getting 4.1 million copper an hour. So definitely think these two should definitely be higher, which means, you know, with how I'm looking at the rest of your account, all of these can be higher. So throwing that out there. And then as we jump into Death Note, this is what's going to make that talent, that star talent I discussed earlier, all the more, you know, impactful, right? Because when you start to get the higher damage, and then you tie that in with your multi-kill tier, and you start to farm the mushrooms, you start to go for that 100 mil mark, right? Those two are just going to collide because you're going to hit a lot of damage, so you're going to get the bonus from the star talent. You've killed a lot of green mushrooms, so you're going to have that stacking bonus from the lab, which I'm sure you know. We're just going to jump to the lab real quick. I'm talking about Fungi Finger Pocketer. So 2% extra cash from monsters for every 1 million green mushroom kills your account has. So if we're being serious about money, you know, this bad boy has to be, you know, check marked, right? It has to be connected. And then do we have the bubble for it? Or, I'm sorry, the gem. Where is it? Here we go. So this would be another one that we need to get. The Fungi Finger Pocketer mainframe bonus gives an additional plus 0% cash bonus per million. Sorry about that abrupt cut there. That was me going to check my lab to make sure I wasn't going to tell you something wrong here. So 1.5x multiplier, so that puts this from 2% to 3.5%. So I don't condone buying stuff if you can't afford it, but this one, if you can work towards it, Emerald Rumble, 100% recommends. That's going to give you 3.5% extra cash for every monster that, or I'm sorry, every green mushroom that you got a 1 million stack of. So we're going to go back to construction, go back to Death Note. So we're on the cusp, right? And I'm just going to point this out here. So that's 3.5% plus another 3.5%. So 7% as it is right now. And you're dangerously close to 10.5%, right? If you get that extra, what is that? Like 200,000? We'll call it like 120,000. So there's a free 10.5% extra cash right there. But while we're on the subject of Death Note, I would recommend pushing these to 100, right? Instead of pushing World 4, kind of consolidating back into World 1, getting all these to at least a solid 5 mil base mark, because your characters, and I've looked at them already, are strong enough. You can reasonably expect that 50,000 to 100,000 mark on some of these mobs. If you haven't Zowed already, if you haven't Chowed, bringing them back through here, running the gambit, start with World 1, go into World 2, down to World 3, and then start to push World 4 in earnest. But that's all I'm going to say on Death Note. Let's go into Shrines. Shrines are doing great. So we're all in the outer world town. If you're a new player and you're just watching, the reason why that is in the lab, there is the Shrine World Tour. So if a shrine is placed within town instead of in a monster map, it will act as though it is placed in every map in that entire world. So with him pushing World 4, he has it in the town just so all of these are getting leveled up concurrently. Nothing too crazy about this. Obviously, pushing your shrines as far as you can. Would highly recommend, with how high some of these are, that we probably shouldn't move them for a hot minute, right? We don't want to lose 31,733 hours. So I would say to possibly hold off the resampling until these bad boys hit 15. Woodular Shrine to go get a higher, monster sample. And then the Issachin Shrine for when you move over to mining to get that high mining sample, because health does determine how high your mining sample is. Let's look at this. So we've obviously got 3D printer maxed. Talent book library, a really good one to get up even further, brother, just because you're going to want to start to flush out your builds. And 16 out of 50, we want to at least hit halfway on every single one of our buildings, right? That's a good goal to achieve. As far as your Death Note, 10 more levels, you've got more than enough salts, and you're a little bit low on the green salts. But Death Note, priority number 1 for you, brother, over almost everything. Well, except for the Trapper Dome, we gotta get this up just a little bit. But Death Note should be priority number 1 amongst all your buildings, just so you can get that higher multi-kill, get that higher, monster sample. And yeah, all I'm gonna talk on that. Other than that, you are looking good, my friend. Jump into cooking, and right off the bat, I can see you're doing the right thing. So we hit, and again, if you're a newer player, once you hit World 4, a good strategy: push down to cabbages. Whatever you have to do the breeding, do the pet arena, do the monster fights to be able to unlock the spices until you can unlock cabbages. Hitting level 11 on the cabbages. Oh, I'm sorry, not level 11, level 8. And then hitting, 5 or 6 in the corn dogs, and then working your way down 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, right? That way, once you hit level 11, it becomes a diamond plate. And then with the spice that you unlock from beach docks, you can go back to alchemy, and that's where Diamond Chef really starts to shine. So I think you're doing a great job, brother. You're hitting a level 11, and then you're just working your way down, right? So nothing to say there. 2.89 mil on your first kitchen is fantastic. Your goal is probably to hit, I would say, enough money to unlock that 6th kitchen. I personally don't do it, but if that's something you're about, brother, I usually just put all of my whatever I'm cooking on at the same time, right? So if I'm going specifically for what you should be going for, the only one that's not diamond plated that you've got right now, I would be putting them all on croissants, right? Just because I don't want some of that progression to be lost on other things. I like to consolidate on one because it's less time. You're going to unlock that diamond plate faster. That diamond plate's going to give you way more of a benefit than anything else. So just my recommendation, I put all of my stuff onto, all my eggs in one basket. I push that level 11, then go on to the second level 11. Lab, so same thing. There's a couple things, especially for an account like yours. So 200s, right? When we're starting to get into the 200 pixel range, we can reasonably hit most of the lab with 6 people, right? It's not like mine. I think my highest, I'll even check for you right now. So my highest would be 534, but that's because I'm trying to do the lab with only 5 people. Since you're going for that 6, 200 going into the 300s is going to be more than enough to start progressing towards the end and getting the viral connection. So where you've got those 6, definitely keep them there. Do what you can, get the lab scrubs, get the lab rings, and then try to push to the viral connection, because it's going to make your entire setting up the lab journey just that much easier. So we are back over here. Nothing to say on that. Getting lab levels, it just takes time, brother. You're pushing towards 75, so there's still quite a bit of a journey to go. Just push towards viral connection and the rest of these as fast as you can. Going into breeding, phenomenal job. I usually just, I like to point out beach docks, just because beach docks and what you're going to get from Diamond Chef is your biggest gains in the game. And seeing that you've got this at 242, so the highest out of any of your other foraging speeds, is perfect. Obviously, everyone would recommend just get the better pets. Ganon actually did put on the Palmer Plays Discord in the pro tips section, breeding, how to set up breeding. So would recommend you going and checking that out, brother. Upgrades, there is a really good achievement that I would go for. Just gives you a higher, a faster egg rarity multiplier. Would recommend, if you've got the materials for it, pushing to get this to level 5, just so you have that 8 capacity. Other than that, I'm not a super big breeding guy, so I don't want to tell you too much, because I'm not that good. I don't want to lead you the wrong way. Alright, now when we're talking money, there's 2 specific waves I wanted to tell you about. So wave 20, which you've already done, so congratulations, brother. And then wave 175. So I have not hit wave 175. I can't talk on it, but 2 times monster cash is obviously in line with what you want to achieve. There's a lot of work that has to be done in your breeding to even be able to think about pushing that. But this is a goal. If lava ever makes the arena easier and it doesn't just absolutely crush your forearm to do, I would recommend wave 175. So let's jump into the account wide and let's look at the stars and the constellations. So we are in World 1, doing a phenomenal job. This one is easy if you've got high enough efficiency. Make sure your maestro is higher than your character in the mining stat. Jump onto either your bubo or onto your wizard, and then pop some candies. So this one is not as hard as a lot of people think, and it's worth 4 points. So definitely recommend. It's a lot easier than some of these 60 plus hours of losing characters. World 2 completely done. Love to see it. World 3, yeah, this is the one I was talking about, 60 plus hours on 3 characters, AFK for 11 plus hours on 9 players. You've already got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so you're halfway there. Your 3 characters that you didn't have in the lab, that's one night, brother, worth 5 points. So, leave them there, come back the next morning, you're done. So definitely understand the 60 plus hours one, but that other one you should be able to hit. Alright, level 120 on 8 players. Let's check you out. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so we have 6 characters that can do it. Our Maestro and our Squire are the next 2 closest. So pushing these guys just a little bit down World 4 unlocks that constellation. And we're talking about another 5 points. Super easy one to do. Worm Highway. Let me check your death note, because I do believe you've already done that. Death note. Have we hit worms yet? Yeah, Flying Worm. So you've already hit this. That's just going out there and getting it, brother. Let me jump back to the constellations. How many characters do they need you to do that on? Yeah, reach the star on 3 players. Your characters over here that are in the 140s definitely can push past that. So that's another couple easy points for you. Let me jump back into World 4. And then the Cocoa Tunnel, understood. Standstill Plains, it's the same thing. This is all just time and then unlocking a talent here. So not going to discuss these last 3, but Worm Highway definitely achievable. Outer World Town, you could honestly have this one by tomorrow. Once you start getting into World 4, experience is just so fast, won't be an issue for you. And you know what? Just for fun, we're gonna look at the looty tracker. So we have looted 681. We're missing 662. So let's only look at the missing. And off the bat, right, there's a lot of super easy things that you've already done, and you might even have these materials on other characters. It's just dropping them, right? So we're talking about the base nets. We're talking about some super easy bows to make. You've definitely made a lot of this stuff already, or you've got it sitting in your bank. So I would recommend, maybe popping into this today, looking at what you've already made, or that you already have the materials that are easy to make, and then just dropping them again. As far as the money, hopefully I did give you a couple tips. Huge one, World 4 Arena. Another huge one, make sure when you feel comfortable, you start pushing towards killing more green mushrooms, right? So that 2.88 that you were sitting at, we got to get that up, brother. We got to get that up. I think right now I'm pushing towards 100 mil green mushrooms. I passed my 5 mil, my 10 mil, and I'm pushing towards 100 mil. And the money is starting to fly in. I go to bed, I get 20 luster every night while I'm just killing, some jellyfish. So those are the 2 big ones I would recommend. And then I'm going to put a little bit of a break in between the video, and I'm going to list all the different ways that you can make money in the game. It's just going to be kind of like a little slideshow. And then, I'll come back and I'll do my outro. Alright, brothers, Healman specifically, hopefully this did help you. If it did and you haven't already, please do consider subscribing. This takes a lot of time to put together, sit through, think about exactly what I want to say. And if you're willing to, please do submit your IdleOn efficiency. Again, I'm going to do 2 a week, 1 at a time. That way I can zone in specifically on what you're looking for. And if you've already submitted your IdleOn efficiency, but you didn't put in there that text, looking at you, Griffin, if you could go back, just take a couple seconds, think about what you actually want to achieve, and then drop that in the comment. That way I can help you guys even more. But that's going to do it for me today, brothers. Stay safe. I'll catch you in the next one.